Have you ever wondered what money really is? It's not just the paper in your wallet or the numbers on your screen. It's an idea, a story we all agree on. And that story has changed dramatically over thousands of years. Today, we're going on a journey through time to explore the incredible evolution of money, from seashells and salt to the digital currencies of tomorrow. Let's dive in. Imagine a world without money. How would you get what you need? If you were a farmer with a surplus of wheat, but you needed a new pair of shoes, you'd have to find a shoemaker who just so happened to need wheat. This is bartering, the earliest form of trade. It's a direct exchange of goods and services. For a long time, this system worked. People traded everything from livestock and grain to salt and seashells. These were called commodity money, items that had value in themselves, besides their use as a medium of exchange. A cow could be used for milk and meat, but also traded for other goods. Salt was so valuable in ancient Rome that soldiers were sometimes paid in it. In fact, the word salary comes from the Latin word for salt, sal. But bartering has some major drawbacks. The biggest one is what economists call the double coincidence of wants. You have to find someone who not only has what you want but also wants what you have. This can be incredibly inefficient. What if the shoemaker didn't need wheat? You'd have to find something else they wanted, or trade your wheat for something the shoemaker desired. It gets complicated fast. Another problem is divisibility. How do you trade half a cow for a loaf of bread? It's not exactly practical. And how do you store your wealth? A barn full of grain can spoil. Clearly, humanity needed a better system. We needed something that was durable, portable, divisible, and universally accepted. Enter the age of precious metals. Around 3,000 years ago, people started using metals like gold and silver as money. Why? Because they solved many of bartering's problems. Gold doesn't rust or decay, so it's durable. It's rare enough to be valuable, but not so rare that it's impossible to find. You can carry it around, and it can be easily divided into smaller units without losing its value. Most importantly, everyone agreed it was valuable. This was a huge step forward. For the first time, there was a universal standard of value that could facilitate trade across different cultures and vast distances. The first coins were minted in Lydia, an ancient kingdom in modern-day Turkey, around 600 BC. These were small, stamped pieces of a gold and silver alloy called electrum. Each coin had a specific weight and purity, guaranteed by the king's seal. This innovation was revolutionary. It standardized transactions, making trade faster, easier, and more trustworthy. The idea quickly spread across the ancient world, from Greece and Rome to Persia and India. The gold era had begun, and for centuries, the gleam of gold coin symbolized wealth, power, and prosperity. Empires were built on it, and wars were fought for it. Gold became the ultimate store of value, the bedrock of the global economy. But carrying round bags of heavy gold coins also has its limits. As economies grew and trade expanded, it became cumbersome and dangerous to transport large amounts of gold. Merchants needed a more convenient solution. This led to the next great leap in the history of money, paper currency. The concept first emerged in China during the Tang Dynasty in the 7th century. Merchants would leave their heavy coins with a trusted party and receive a paper note, or a flying money receipt, that they could use for trade elsewhere. This was the birth of representative money paper notes that were backed by, and could be exchanged for, a physical commodity, usually gold or silver. The idea eventually made its way to Europe. In the 17th century, goldsmiths in London started issuing promissory notes to people who deposited gold with them for safekeeping. These notes were essentially receipts that promised to pay the bearer a certain amount of gold on demand. People found it was much easier to trade these notes than to haul around the actual gold. Soon, these notes began circulating as a form of money. Banks caught on, and governments began issuing their own official banknotes, all backed by their reserves of precious metals. This was the gold standard, a system where a country's currency value was directly linked to a specific amount of gold. But even the gold standard had its limitations. A country's money supply was restricted by its gold reserves. This inflexibility became a major problem, especially during times of economic crisis like the Great Depression. So, in the 20th century, countries began to abandon the gold standard. In 1971, the United States officially severed the link between the dollar and gold, and the world entered the era of fiat money. Fiat money is currency that a government has declared to be legal tender, but it is not backed by a physical commodity. Its value comes from the trust and confidence that people have in the government that issues it. All the money we use today, dollars, euros, yen, is fiat money. It's essentially an IOU from the government, valuable only because we all agree it is. The move to fiat money set the stage for the next monumental shift, the digital revolution. The mid-20th century saw the introduction of the credit card. For the first time, people could make purchases without any physical cash changing hands. This was just the beginning. With the rise of computers and the internet, money became increasingly dematerialized. It transformed from physical objects into digital information, just ones and zeros flowing through a global network. Online banking, electronic transfers, and mobile payment apps have made transactions instantaneous and global. Today, the vast majority of money exists only in digital form, as entries in bank ledgers. We can buy things from the other side of the world with a few clicks, and our salaries are often deposited directly into our accounts without us ever touching a physical bill. This digital shift has made our financial lives incredibly convenient, but it also centralizes power in the hands of banks and governments, who control the flow of this digital information. This brings us to the present day, and the latest chapter in the story of money, the crypto revolution. In 2009, an anonymous person or group known as Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin. It was the world's first decentralized digital currency. What does that mean? Unlike traditional digital money, which is controlled by banks and governments, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin operate on a technology called blockchain. Blockchain is a distributed, public ledger that records all transactions. It's maintained by a network of computers around the world, making it transparent and resistant to censorship or control by any single entity. This was a radical idea. For the first time in history, we had a form of money that could be transferred directly from person to person, anywhere in the world, without needing a bank or any intermediary. The emergence of Bitcoin has sparked a wave of innovation. Thousands of different cryptocurrencies have been created, each with unique features and use cases. Concepts like smart contracts, which are self-executing contracts with the terms of the agreement directly written into code, and decentralized finance, or DeFi, which aims to build an entirely new financial system on the blockchain, are pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Of course, the world of crypto is still new, and it's highly volatile and controversial. There are debates about its scalability, security, environmental impact, and potential for misuse. But whether you're a skeptic or a believer, it's impossible to deny that it represents a fundamental rethinking of what money is and how it can work. So, from cowrie shells to crypto, the story of money is a story of human innovation. The evolution never stops because our needs as a society are always changing. What will the money of the future look like? One thing is for sure, the story of money is far from over. It will continue to evolve, reflecting our technology, our values, and our vision for the future. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey through the history of money. If you found this fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the concepts that shape our world.